lies. It was just
bullshit. What's the difference?
It wasn't lies. It was
just bullshit.
The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit.
Who said liar? I said bullshit artist. And what's the difference? Because I don't lie.
Hello and welcome to No Lies Just Bullshit. I'm your host Nick Swartz. Thanks for tuning in. It's a bit of a snowy day in the Shenandoah Valley. Beautiful day. I'm not into a ton of snow. You know, my favorite snow is when it just covers everything and it's pretty, but the asphalt is warm enough to keep it melted, and it's beautiful on my drive, and it's beautiful on my when I look out the window, but it doesn't really hinder my business or me getting on the road and doing what's got to get done. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to the #1 tattoo podcast on planet Earth. I am your host, Nick Swartz, and I'm stoked to be here. This episode is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to get quite into that yet. First, I want to say thank you to Alliance Tattoo Supply for supporting No Lies Just Bullshit. I want to urge you to go over to alliancetattoosupply.com and get whatever it is you need to run your business, your tattoo and piercing business. They have Lineage needles, which are top of the line. They have power supplies. They have machines. They have, you name it, they've got it. Table drapes, thermofax paper. It goes on and on and on. If you're into the cartridges, they got cartridges. Whatever you need to run your tattoo shop, they have it at alliancetattoosupply.com. They're out of Richmond, Virginia, and they're just top notch. They're good people. We know them. They support us. We support them. Friends of Alley Cat Tattoo. Everything you can say good about these folks, I'm willing to say it. They're my people. So go over to alliancetattoosupply.com and check them out. I don't have a lot of upcoming events. I'm going to be in Philadelphia for that show at the end of January. If anybody wants to have a bourbon, holler at me, or get some Chinese food, holler at me. I don't have anything lined up yet, so I'm going to talk to some Philly homies and see if I can't get some stuff lined up. Other than that, the next major event for us is going to be the Shenandoah Rose, which is the first convention that I'm ever going to throw. It's going to be a mini convention. We're holding it at Alley Cat Tattoo, and we're doing it in celebration of 25 years of Alley Cat Tattoo, which I'm very proud of. I'm the only guy who's been here at the ship at the helm for the whole way, and I'm super proud of the team that I've built and the shop that we've built, and can't wait for everybody to come check it out. You know, I'm going to have tattooers from all over. I mean, I'm going to have tattooers from all over. And so, you know, I'm hoping that not just local people that want to get tattooed will attend, but I'm hoping that tattoo collectors and tattooers from the East Coast or driving distance or even that want to fly in are going to be here and going to want to participate. It's going to be amazing. I got to make like an edited list, but you know, I said I'm gonna like, you know, drop a name every week. This week's name I'm gonna drop is gonna be Kylie Green. Kylie Green is part of the home team. You're good. And you know, one of our dear friends, and we couldn't do it without her. So we're excited to announce that she will be tattooing at the Shenandoah Rose. I also want to mention the Mike Perfetto episode. You know, top 3, maybe for me personally. Really enjoyed it. It was a great time. It was awesome to have Gordon and Mike in the room, hanging out and pushing the narrative a little bit, or I don't know if the narrative is the right word, but pushing the story along and helping me do what I needed to do to make it a dope episode. But all the credit goes with Mike Perfetto. What a good guy, willing to offer his time and share his story. And the feedback's been incredible, and the stories itself have been amazing. And just want to thank Mike from the bottom of my heart for doing it, man. It was one of the ones that really mean a ton to me, which is sort of how we're going to get into this week's episode. So we've had a ton going on, and you know, when I line up podcasts, like I had the last 2 conventions I did, I had 3 or 4 lined up, and I ended up getting 2 each time. And I've kind of exhausted a lot of Virginia. There's been some people in Virginia that I've tried to line up with and wasn't able to line up with. Sometimes things fall through. There's a bluegrass trio that I've been trying to get on, which I know is not everybody's cup of tea, but it's definitely my cup of tea, so I enjoy doing that when I have a musical guest on. So, you know, it's sometimes it's more difficult to actually get a subject for a show, or to get, when I say a subject, I mean an individual, to get a guest. And I've always wanted to do just like a stream of consciousness sort of episode where I just talk, and I'm pretty good at talking, but I haven't been able to figure out like an arc for that. And so I'm a busy fella. We have the Shop Talk now with Porter and Andrew on YouTube, and I got the Chronicles that I do over there, and I've got my family, and I've got Alley Cat Tattoo, and I've got some other things going on, and it's more difficult to source a podcast than it's ever been. And so this week what I did is I kind of went back and dug into, actually I had my brother help me dig into some of my favorite episodes. And this one we're going to feature the Peter Tattoo lineage. But basically I didn't have a guest, and I didn't have the time. This weekend we had a customer appreciation Christmas party. This coming week I've got one a family party coming up in Clifton Forge, where I grew up, for all my friends and cousins and their kids down there. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with all the details of what I got going on, but it's a lot, and so I don't always have time to source and or travel to a subject for No Lies, Just Bullshit. So what I have here is 5 clips from guests that I've had that were a part of the Peter Tattoo organization, which was one of the biggest organizations that tattooing has ever seen. At the peak, I think there was 24 or 26 actual shops at the peak of their run, and it was Peter Poulos and Larry Romano, and both of who are no longer with us. But the folks that I've had on my show are people that sort of were part of that legacy, and they continue to carry on that legacy in tattooing, not necessarily under the Peter Tattoo name, but through their time. And if you ever worked for that organization, it definitely shaped you long term. I'm fortunate because I know Frank Romano as a friend. I know Eric Fischer as a friend. Richie Montgomery I've spent some time with. I don't know him that well, but I would definitely say we are friendly, and he's a good guy. I would call him my friend. I think he'd call me his friend too. I'm a huge fan of him as a tattooer, but he's also a great guy. Of course, Angelo Miller and Erik Desmond have become great friends of mine, people that I really care for and appreciate, and Kris Magnotti as well. Kris Magnotti is a guy who, whenever I see him, he's got great stories and a big smile on his face. But of all these guys who I admire their tattooing, Kris Magnotti is probably does my favorite style of tattoos from all those guys, and I love them. Don't get me wrong, all great. I wear tattoos from every single one of them, and but Kris Magnotti just does that straightforward, large scale Japanese stuff that I love the most. So yeah, what I've done is I've taken those 5 episodes. In one case, Erik Desmond and Angelo Miller, there was a joint episode we did. And just to tell a little history, I don't know if I could, if I have time to get into all of them, but for that episode, I've been trying to get Angelo on the show. And of course, if you're a regular listener now, you know that Angelo's been on 6 episodes probably, or 7. But at the time, he was very apprehensive about talking publicly. And this has been many years ago. And he was just, I don't think he was nervous because he's a great talker, but I think he was still of the mentality that the game was supposed to be sold and not be told. I just don't know how keen he was on just talking publicly. But I wasn't asking for any secrets. I was just asking for stories. Anyway, so he was like, Erik Desmond is a mentor to me, taught me, brought me in. How about I do one with him? And so the buzz leading up to this, we did it at Pagoda one year. And again, many years ago, maybe, I don't know, man, at this point, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And we did it at Pagoda, and there was a lot of buzz around it. And Angelo had some of his crew there with him from Inksmith and Rogers, and little Dave was there, who, as far as I'm concerned, is part of my crew no matter where I am or wherever I go. I love little Dave Cavalcante. And so folks wanted to sit in and listen. And so Angelo was like, yeah, you guys can sit in, but you got to keep your mouth shut. So I'm on one side of the room with me, Angelo, and Erik Desmond. And then behind us in a corner is Scotty Inksmith, Jordan Inksmith, Cody Inksmith, little Dave. Somebody else was in the room. Anyway, it was 5 of the Inksmith boys. And of course, little Dave worked for Inksmith forever. And they're all just chilling in the background. And as time went on, you know, and Desmond and Angelo got a little more loose. A couple laughs sneaked out. I don't know how many of them are in the actual thing, but anyway, the highlight for me, and one of the things that I thought was the funniest, was Erik Desmond talked most of the time. Angelo didn't say a whole lot. And at one point, Angelo decides he's going to take the floor and talk a little bit. So he starts to talk, and he says, you know, as far as tattooing goes, I love tattoos. It's all I care about. It's all I want to do. I feel like I do good tattoos. And before he get the and out, Erik Desmond goes, whoa, I'll tell you when you do a good tattoo. And those boys all erupted, and I erupted. It was a great, you know, great wisecrack for, you know, someone who's there with his mentor talking about their legacy of tattooing. And it's something that I've laughed about a lot over the years. And it's just good. And, you know, those are the type of guys, Erik and Angelo, that I love to death. And so I kind of rib them a little bit. They'll tease me a little bit. We talk a little shit. It's fun. And that was just a great burn for that session. Anyway, all these episodes that we have here are very important to me. Frank Romano's episode has been widely considered the best episode No Lies, Just Bullshit has ever put out. Now, obviously, that's subjective, but I've had more tattooers tell me that was their favorite episode than any other episode I have done up until I did Richie Montgomery's. And then his was sort of in the same sort of just powerful reach, powerful impact, meant a lot. And those both meant a ton to me. You know, with Frank's, we had Mike Rubendahl right there who helped steer the ship, and that was a big help to me. And then with Richie Montgomery's, I had my buddy Jake Hockman flew up to New York with me. We went up there just to do the podcast. I was also trying to get my brain wrapped around flying again because I was going to be flying to Europe soon after that. But yeah, me and Jake, we flew to New York City, got off the plane, got an Uber to our hotel, and Richie and his wife were already waiting in the hotel parking lot. And, you know, Mary's fantastic. They sat with us for a few hours. Incredible talk, incredible people. Richie and his wife Mary are both just, they're good people. They're family people. They're just, you know, the fact that they're always together and they travel together, they're just the best. They're just the best. You don't get any better than that. And of course, Richie's stories were incredible and impactful. And I just can't overstate the importance of him letting us in and telling us how it was and how it was going to be, you know. And meant a ton to me. Still means a ton to me. And you know, maybe my favorite episode ever. It's hard for me to say that, but some of them I enjoy all of them, but some of them I enjoy, plus there's an impact on the culture, and at least in my opinion, and there's an impact on me personally. And then in this case, I have, you know, a friendship with Richie and Mary whenever I see them, you know, and so it's just big and great. And all these things overlap a little bit, you know, like Erik Desmond and Angelo and Richie, they're all good pals. Sometimes I'll see them in the room. Like we've all been to Kings Avenue together, which is really, really dope for me. Anyway, I'm talking about a lot of stuff that's like guys I looked up to, heroes, you know. So, and of course, Eric Fischer has a huge legacy with Peter Tattoo, and he's done a couple episodes of No Lies, Just Bullshit, and it's just a good dude. And he's a Virginia fellow. He's not from here, but he lives here in Virginia. And you know, he was one of the guys that went out to Colorado and worked for Pete. And yeah, his son's a good dude. They're, you know, and they're friends with my friends. They're, you know, Andrew and Eric are pals, and just really good folks, man. And of course, has I touched on everybody's? Kris, Richie, Frank, Ange, Eric. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, all these episodes mean a ton to me. So I thought, in lieu of having a guest, I get so many new listeners, and I get people who probably just are one and done, but if they will revisit some of these, they'll realize the value in them. Like, you know, the importance of these episodes, that just because I did them a long time ago does not mean they're not top notch. And so I kind of put together these 5, or had my brother was nice enough to take the time, put together these 5 stories, you know, a little bit from each of those episodes, and share with you folks today as a new episode of No Lies, Just Bullshit. And thank everybody for tuning in, and I appreciate you all being a part of this. I'm going to do my best to keep them coming. like I said, it's harder to source episodes than it's ever been. The next one I'll probably do something similar to this, and then, like I said, I've got stuff lined up for the new year, and we'll see where it goes from there, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. No Lies, Just Bullshit. Peter Tattoo Legacy Stories.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way.
Larry Romano was my father. He passed away in 2014. And Peter Poulos, Peter Tattoo Poulos, was his business partner and friend. And together, at the height of the business, they built the largest chain of tattoo shops in the United States. And they were my childhood heroes, and who I kind of modeled myself after as a young person. My father met him, I'm going to say it was the summer of 1970 or 71, somewhere around there. I was about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. And we had that pool party, and he left and came back.
Yeah, perfect.
And I saw him come in the house, and he walked into the bathroom, and I walked into the bathroom behind him, and he tore this fucking paper towel off his arm, and he had a demon head. And then he tore the other one off, and I'm not 100% sure. No, I'm sorry. It was the eagle covering his original Hot Stuff Devil, and on the other side was the outline of the executioner. Probably the most important tattoo, probably the one that I could not take my eyes off of. The executioner was just fucking mind-blowing. And my father, in my eye, he changed that night. It was like 6. I couldn't believe that my father had these, and he was pretty big, he's a pretty big guy, so he had these 2 big outlines. Yeah. And then like a week later, he came home and he had another 2. And it was like this fucking other demon thing, and a panther, and then a demon up here. And he just started getting fucking covered. In a matter of the rest of that summer, my father's arms were done by the end of that summer. And it's funny because he had this red hot, the Hot Stuff Devil on his arm. It was always there. I never saw it. It was just part of him. I never realized that my father had a tattoo until he came home with 2 tattoos. I was like, holy shit. And this fucking eagle, it's funny because I remember how big it was. It was just huge.
Was he friendly with Peter at that point already?
No.
Or just...
No. So in the beginning, it was just, my father was hanging out, but at the time, Richie Montgomery was there, but Richie was a kid. He was like, I'd say about 10 years younger than my father and Peter. And my father was, a stand-up guy, and I think together, Peter saw the counterpart to himself. He saw I think what he saw was, with my brains and this guy's fearlessness, we can do something, they saw in each other. And my father, I remember him speaking in a positive way about, this guy thinks big, we're going to do something together, which they did. I mean, in not too long of a time, my father went out to Colorado with Peter, and they built the first shop. My father was a carpenter, so he built the first shop, physically built it in a short amount of time, came back, and then opened another shop, which was, part his shop and part Peter's shop in West Hempstead. And that, then everything changed, There was no more carpentry, there was no more, that shit was over with. And then the friendship blossomed. You know, Peter would come over. I remember one morning Peter came over at that same table, and he had boxes, and there were boxes of guns. And my father and Peter were, I don't know if they bought and sold them. I really don't know. It's funny, I had a dream one time. I told my father, I said, Dad, I had a dream that you and Pete were at this candy store. And he got this very peculiar look on his face. And this was like, you know, in the late 80s, early 90s. And, you know, Peter was dead since 83. And he got this look on his face. I said, what's up? And he goes, that's fucking weird. Pete and I used to go to this candy store in Queens or something, or Brooklyn, and buy guns. The Dobermans.
Yeah, talk about that. We often see a lot of photos of Peter with the infamous Dobermans. Like,
Baron.
Baron. Could you talk about
the picture that you're probably referring to was Baron. He was one of Pete's main dogs. He had a couple. He had one that was absolutely out of his fucking mind. His name was Sheriff. He was at the shop when I moved to Colorado and began, which I guess we should probably start with that, right? Like how I got out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be chronological.
Okay. So the picture that Mike's referring to is he's on I think it's a lowrider, the gray lowrider, and he's grabbing Baron. He's got no shirt on, and he's wearing brown leather chaps, I think. And Baron went to attack somebody, and Pete grabbed him by his neck, right? Is that the picture? Yeah. That dog was, when I lived in the house with Peter's widow, Diane. Essentially, she got me started because she saw me drawing, and she said, you know, she had no idea that I knew how to draw, and she she let me get my foot in the door. But I was living in the house that Peter was living in when he was killed, and that dog was there. That dog that you're talking about was there. And I said something about taking the dog for a walk. Where's his leash? And she said, oh, he doesn't need a leash. And I said, what do you mean? What if he sees? And she's like, he doesn't need a leash. Just walk and he'll walk with you. I'm like, he's not going to run away. She said, he's not going to go anywhere. My vision of Peter and my father was, I had a movie that I really loved as a kid called Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid with Robert Redford and Paul Newman. And I saw my father and Peter as like, those were my two heroes. You know what I mean?
the height of Peter Tattoo? How many shops?
14 or 15, I think.
Okay. And they spanned over Colorado, Long Island?
Arizona, Wyoming, Colorado, Chicago. I think upstate was after that. So, yeah.
Florida.
Huh?
There was some in Florida, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was...
That was subsequent. That's Bill Hannon. That was after Peter's death.
Oh, right.
That
right,
was
right. Okay.
Yeah, that was. I wouldn't count those in the original equation. So when Peter was alive and my father and Peter had the business, it was I think 14 or 15. Kind of a fluid number, I think. Jim Watson and Mike Armstrong, Greg Skibo. I think the number I remember was 14 or 15, and then when Peter passed away, and then it changed. Diane, she moved back to New York, and then shops closed. My father opened more shops.
So you said that it was called Long Island Tattoo.
Long Island Tattoo. That was the first of Peter Tattoos. Later he didn't change that name until about 1977 when he opened up. Him and Larry Romano opened up the second store in West Hempstead, which was about 3 to 5 miles up the road. Did
they change the name of Long Island to Peter Tattoo?
Yeah, because when they opened up the second store, that's how it opened up. It was Peter Tattoo, and my store, well, me and Pete were partners. That became Peter Tattoo.
So, how did Pete get his start? How did he end up there?
How did he end up tattooing?
Or end up in that location and so on?
I don't really know the full story, but it was just out of convenience. He lived, maybe a mile away in Queens, in Springfield Gardens, and he wanted to be as close as he could to the city line, knowing that he would get, the people from, Brooklyn, Queens,
right?
That didn't want to go to an underground store. They wanted to go to a legit store, and there was nobody else. You had Spiderweb up in Mount Vernon, I believe. Big Joe wasn't around yet. Right. Pete opened that store up in 1970, and that's where he stayed with, you know.
So, what, you know, obviously there's a legend around Pete. As, you know, he's a very tough guy. You see the pictures of the guns and the tattoos and the dogs and all that stuff. When you first met him, was he that guy already? Was he fully just, I'm a bad motherfucker, walking, talking nightmare?
There was, you know, you would get people who were, he ran the business like a business. He was very polite to the customers, and, you know, even when people were a little shitty to him, he knew that I have to come here tomorrow and open up, and, you know. But a few times I remember him really smoking people in the store. You know, I mean, the funniest stories with the guy with the devil. You know, this guy. I've seen Pete, you know, be a little bit, you know, scary with some people, but never came to anything. Fisticuffs, they would leave or whatever. And this one guy comes in and wants this Milton Zeiss. You must have seen it 1,000 times. The devil girl with the hands up and it's got the tail. And
Certainly.
so this guy says he wants, you know, the devil girl. Diane has the stencil. He takes the stencil, puts it on. The guy says, "Oh, and I want devil woman written on it. And don't fuck it up, or I'll fucking throw a hand grenade in your fucking store." So I'm sitting there. I'm doing a tattoo. And I'm like here. Our store is so close. I'm like right next to Pete.
Yeah.
So I look up, and Pete just smiles. Says, "Okay, no problem." I was like, this is odd. And I do my tattoo, and Pete finishes it, and he goes, "Richie, look!" And I was like, he never says Richie, look. He could have done the Mona Lisa. No, he would not say Richie, look.
Right.
So I look, and I'm looking at the girl, and then I look at Devil Woman, and he left the V out. Well, Devil.
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you think?" He's holding the guy's arm, and I'm like, "Beautiful." And he's smiling, you know, he's laughing. And he puts the bands on the guy, and the guy walks out the door. I ain't saying nothing, because I could see where this is all going. 30 seconds later, boom, boom, boom. Diane's like, Pete gets up and, "What's up?" The guy says, "You fucked up the tattoo. You left the V out." So Pete walks over to his desk, picks up his tattoo machine, and he starts shaking it. You know, he just finished the tattoo 5 minutes ago. And he's shaking it. There's no V in here. And he puts the machine down, grabs the guy by the neck, slams him into the wall where the mirror is, and the shit's falling because we had like a million tchotchkes all over everything. Stuff was falling on the guy, crashing. Pete said, you know, he's choking the guy. He says, "Now go and get your fucking hand grenade and come back." And he throws him out the door, and the guy fucking rolls. And you gotta imagine, there's probably 20 people in the waiting room.
Yeah.
You know, and the guy rolls, falls down, and his buddies are out there. And the guy gets up and leaves. And Pete goes, "Next!" And nobody got up. You know, I mean, I was like, this is great. You know, nobody got up, and Diane knew on the paper who was, you know, getting what. Sure. And the guy, I don't remember how it went, but the guy was like, "Oh, you sure I shouldn't go in, you know? I don't know, I don't want to get fucked up." Don't worry about it. It's over, you know, you're next, you know. Like, oh man, this guy just strangled somebody, you know. But I remember, next! This is interesting. And things like that happened a couple of times, you know, a guy stole the ashtray, and Pete took the dog and put the dog on the guy and held him at bay. Today you'd all wind up in jail.
So, you mentioned the second shop when they changed the name to Peter Tattoo.
Yes.
So how long had that been? How long had you been with Pete for that?
I was with Pete 73. I started working with Pete when I was 18. And that was, I guess, 5 years later, I believe, he opened up that store. I worked with Pete for about, you know, sitting next to each other for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then he went out to Colorado, and right after that, they opened up that store.
In West Colorado store?
No, well, Colorado's my store, you know, our store in Elmont. Then they went to Denver. They opened up the store on Broadway in Denver. and then the store up in West Hempstead with Larry, and that was the one that was Peter tattooed the first. Not the first, but I guess it would be the first Peter tattoo. Mine was still like Long Island tattoo. And
but when you say yours, like you, so he was like, you had been with them for a little while, and then
we were still partners. We were partners until he passed away.
Yeah.
In '83.
And then at that, when he passed away in '83, did Larry just take over the show? Or did things start to split up? I mean, we don't have to go into all the Peter tattoo history. It's just that you've been there
out of respect,
from the inception. You know,
out of respect and such, you know, because his wife Diane, I mean, I still kept her as partner,
right,
for years. You know, I knew the woman for many years. I mean, I owed them something, you know. And when we closed our store, we didn't. It was a real shithole. You know, we didn't have heat. You know, you had to provide your own heat. And it was hot water. You know, it was just. It was a garage. It was a garage for the bakery next door, and somebody just put a fucking door on it and a window, and now it became a store to rent.
Right.
And Pete took that over, and it was horrible. And a store opened up down the block. And first thing I did, I went in there and I looked. I saw a radiator. I was like, "Fucking, we gotta get this place, man."
So what were you doing for heat prior to that?
Everything we could. The kerosene heaters,
yeah.
You know, plumbers, propane heaters. You know, they use on job sites.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, whatever we could. You know, and that place had zero insulation. You know, during the wintertime, you know, they say, like, running water don't freeze. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. I would leave at night, I'd turn water faucets on, and a few times it would get below zero. And I'd come in and there'd be a fucking icicle.
Dripping from that.
Well, yeah, it was frozen, you know. Yeah. Once I came in, and I'm hearing, because the light switches were in the back, and, you know, that's because I love tattooing. You know, I had to be a tattoo artist, you know. Couldn't have stayed with the fucking union in Manhattan. I come in, I'm hearing all this noise, you know. And this is in the middle of the winter. I'm hearing like, I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? And I walked to the back and I hit the light switch, and the pipe froze, broke, and it's shooting water from the bathroom where Cato was, who used to bar, out onto the electric heater. The electric heater is sparking, and I'm standing in the water. And, right through your mind. All of a sudden, now it's fucking Goldfinger, James Bond. The thing is in the bathtub.
You're about to be the skeleton.
I'm gonna be lit up, you know. I was like tap dancing out of the fucking room. And you know, that's and you just, you know, you worked around, shut the water off, you know, and get ready, and hopefully somebody will come in today and I could pay the plumber to fix the pipe, you know.
So, watching, like, did Pete explain to you, or was it an understanding that he had this entrepreneurial idea to have, you know, he at one point,
13 stores.
Was it 13? I thought it was more than that. But still probably the biggest chain of tattoo shops.
People wanted to be around Pete because he was just a magnetic personality, something about him.
But did he say, Richie, this is what I'm going to do?
No.
Or did it just
started happening? Yeah, it just started happening. Yeah. You know, and it wasn't that many good tattooers. You had like Hardy, Raven, you know, Nolan was few and far between, you know, you didn't really see. And Pete was, you know, on the cutting edge. He was, you know, really pushing out, you know, like in 78, 79, these guys were, you know, doing fantastic work. And people wanted to be around him, and they wanted to learn and see it, and, you know.
So I'm driving around, I'm like, I'm gonna go to Peter Tattoo Shop, I said.
Yeah.
You know, because Pete was with Richie in the early 70s in the shop, 357 Hempstead Turnpike, where I got my first tattoo.
Yeah.
And I started seeing him in like magazines and convention stuff.
Pete?
I was Peter Tattoo. Oh my gosh, he like moved out west and turned great. You know, and there's all sorts of stories about how he sold his soul. He had this big necklace with the golden demon that took over, and all this shit, whatever. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I drive my red truck. I got long ponytail, clean myself up, put on a nice shirt. My beard's all long and stuff, and Peter Tattoo, 1118 Broadway. So, wow, I made it, you know. Cool. And I got a book of pictures of my work. So I walk in the shop, and there's a beautiful woman in there. Oh my fucking God. Beautiful. It was Barbara Chapman. She's heavily tattooed.
Yeah. But you don't see tattooed women at that time.
Right. And they all had like the same, Kim and Barbara and Peggy Skibo and Teresa Hanning, they all had the same style tattoo. And you have to see pictures of them back then to really understand that it was a classic black oriental bar background with flowers and chrysanthemums and all sorts of stuff. And then he started breaking into some realistic looking floral stuff. But anyway, I walk in there, and she's as cute as can be, and she said, "Hey, can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a job." "Get the fuck out of here." I go, I said, "Get the fuck out." She's ready to kick my ass. And she could have, I'll tell you. So I got my gun on, because you never know. You walk into a shop, you never know what's going to go down. So anyway, she started yelling at me, and the door opens up, and Pete comes out. Like, oh man, cool. I find, "Hey, Peter, look, Richie Montgomery, look at my tattoos. I'm from New York. Richie Tattoo. Oh, cool. So then it's like, whew, oh man, I escaped death by Barbara, and Pete's talking to me. So I'm like, I want a job. I've been tattooing like almost 2 years on the road, and I need to settle down. I can't keep doing this shit. He goes, "Are you any good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really good." He looks at me, he goes, "Bullshit," starts laughing. Barbara's laughing. "What the fuck, you're good." So I show him my pictures, and he's like, "You suck."
Yeah.
I'm like, what, But anyway, he says, it was weird. He asked me one question. He goes, "What are you packing?" I said, I got a Colt 45 government model. Good gun. Yeah, okay, good. Okay. He said, "That's your truck?" Yeah, that's my truck. And you talk about a tough guy coming out. This guy is like, serious, like all shit, right?
Yeah.
So he says, "Yeah, I'll tell you what to do." He gives me an address. There was a 1229 Colfax, is that it? 1229? I have to look at my old business card. He said, "There's a shop out there called American Tattoo."
Yeah.
He said, now you gotta realize, there's American Tattoo. There were 4 shops in Denver, 4. There was a couple more, but they mysteriously disappeared. But there was 4. And 3 of them were Pete's.
Yeah.
And there was the Broadway and the Colfax and American, and then there was Emporium Design, Sugar Bear and Paul, and they were good people, good shop. So he said, "Drive down there. There's a shop, American Tattoo. There's a big guy in there. He's running the place." He said, "Go in and tell him you're running the place now, and set yourself up and start tattooing." I'm like, fuck yeah. Peter Tattoo just offered me a fucking job.
And you're running the place.
Yeah. So I walk in there, and the guy, I don't want to say much about his background, but fucking big, ugly, scarred up, tough guy.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." He said, hey, can I help you?" "Yeah. I'm running the shop now." "Well, what are you fucking?" He's ready to fight me. "What do you mean?" I just went and saw Pete. He told me to come out and run the shop." He runs in, picks up the phone. Hangs up the phone, comes down and set your shit up there. All mad at me. Okay. So I set up American Tattoo, had picture machine flash, had Don Nolan flash, had Spalding and Rogers flash, all up on the walls. It was a big front room. a wooden bench on the whole wall, ashtrays attached to the wall, flash on it, dark wood paneling, and then it had a back room with 2 stations set up. So I took one of them. Anyway, we wound up getting together, and we got along for a long time, me and Blue.
Yeah.
And ran the shop and started to learn stuff, and got to know Pete, and got to know Kim, and got to know Barbara, and got to know Greg Skibo, who were like phenomenal tattooers, all of them. You're walking, you pick out a piece of flash, and it went on your arm like a decal.
Yeah.
That was the challenge. It's got to look just like that on the wall, exactly like it. Maybe change the color, something.
Sure.
Purple rose.
Or they're going to tell you I want blue in the eyes.
Yeah,
Shit
that
like
kind of stuff. So I was just, and still nobody's telling me how to tattoo.
Right.
You know? So I get Spalding and Rogers catalog. I'm like, holy shit, this is godsend. And I take masking tape and I cover over everywhere it says Spalding and Rogers.
Yeah.
And it had the little flash section. I'm like,
Sure.
oh my God. So I'm selling people off of those pictures, but we still had a lot of flash up there. But everything's covered, no names on anything in the shops back then. I still got that catalog with tape on it. First it's magic markered and then masking tape, so you can't even hold it up to the light and see the name. And so I tattooed there for me and Blue for a long time. And then Cindy Burmeister came along, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing to me? You got Kim, beautiful, Barbara, freaking gorgeous, and then 18-year-old Cindy Burmeister walks in. I'm sorry, Cindy, if you're listening, but she was beautiful.
I don't think she'd be offended by that. I don't know, but I don't think so.
And her tattooing was clean, you know? Kind of, young girl, but tough. That was the one thing about the girls that worked for Peter. They'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, there were people who come in and try to take advantage of, never happened. One night I get a call, years later, I'm doing in there, and I think Cindy was tattooing. I get a phone call from Pete. Erik, you got to get down to the Broadway shop. Someone's giving Barbara a hard time. So I jump in the truck, I drive down to Broadway shop, and I go in, and there's Barbara standing there. She's like, oh man, thanks for coming. I'm like, what's up? The place is empty. Oh man, I beat this guy half to death with a baseball bat, fucked up his head and shit, and rolled him out the door. He was gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, okay. So
handles.
So I hung out the rest of the night till she closed up, and then Pete says, well, look, let's do for like a week or so, a week or two, and Barbara take the days, and Greg was there, and you take the nights in case this guy comes back.
Right.
About a week later, I'm in there, and the freaking guy comes back. Where's Barbara?
Got a fucking.
Here's the funny thing. He's wearing a fucking helmet. Construction helmet. He's like, you're not beating me in the head again.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, fuck. I close the door. I get on the phone. Pete, the guy's back. He says, okay, look. Get rid of him. Make sure he never comes back. I'm like, okay. Anyway, we had a conference and he was gone. He never came
back. Yeah.
But that's how tough she was.
Yeah.
So American Tattoo was Pete opened his Colfax shop then. So it was him and Kim, and you walk in the Colfax shop and there's no flash on the wall. There's a little front room, beautiful, and it's got this big diamond cut window with blinds. And up on top, there's a big 11-foot mountain lion stuffed that Pete got in some hunting thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so cool, wow, leather couch types stuff. Like, I'd never seen a tattoo shop like this.
No.
And then Kim's got the half door. We had half doors cut, so in American and in that shop, so you could stand there and still have the door closed but talk to people. And then when you started tattooing, you closed the top. And anyway, that was a beautiful shop. You walk into Pete's room. First you got Kim's room. She's got a dentist chair. She's got a white Formica shelf. Everything beautiful, like you're in a dentist's office. You walk into Pete's room, and it's like dentist office. He had the dentist light, those big lights that come off the wall.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. So anyway, that was his shop. But between the two of us was Lowry Air Force Base. And Lowry Air Force Base, they had 6 weeks of training. So they go out there. You got guys from all over the country coming in, 6 weeks training. And on the 1st and the 15th of every month, the shop was full. American was full, and Kim was full. And they'd wait. They were clean. They were polite. They were the best customers you could ever want in your life. These airmen come in, and they loved Kim.
Yeah.
And they loved Cindy. Oh my God. They'd wait there till 3, 4 in the morning to get Cindy to tattoo them. And I'm like, God damn it, I tattoo also, you know.
Right.
But anyway, I got half the work, so it was pretty cool. But that was American Tattoo. Is you come in, you pick the flash, you sit down, and as quick as we can, we get the tattoo done. And then next, sit down, and we had a 150-gallon fish tank, and we had piranha in it, right? So we would feed them goldfish. But the piranha, it's weird. You throw in a bag 100 goldfish, and they swim around, you know, like every couple of days you notice a few more gone.
Right.
So then one day we had the bright idea, let's put a few Oscars in there, big Oscars. Man, they would fight. But it was almost like you had glass in the middle. You had piranha on one side living there, and Oscars on the other side living there. But you look at the piranhas, and half their fins are missing, and they were getting beat up bad. And then when we throw in bags, you get the feeder fish, 100 in a bag. Oscars eat all 100 in about 30 seconds, and the piranha are like eating little scraps, getting a little bit here. Anyway, that was the American Tattoo. And I'm sitting there tattooing one day. Pete walks in with Larry Romano. Larry Romano.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Pete was tough. I mean, he didn't take shit from nobody. And he was strong, he was muscular, and he was tough. But let me tell you something, Larry Romano was the toughest.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't fuck around. He took care of us like everything we needed. Whatever you need, take care of you. You're getting a hard time getting a hassle, he's right there. But he was in New York. He had a Hempstead shop then. Richie had that shop then. And, you know, we had a little memo pad. So the first thing Larry does, he walks in, comes over, he picks up the memo pad. That's always the first thing.
Yeah.
If you were doing a tattoo and it wasn't in that memo pad with the price, you were getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
That was it. You wrote down what you're gonna do. Micro Dragon. You wrote down $50. Then you sat the guy down. You did the tattoo. If you walked in and you didn't have it written down, that means you're stealing.
Right.
And he'd just kick your ass. And let me tell you something. Larry put a good hurting on a lot of people because they tried doing wrong and they never made it. So
that's business sometimes.
He was good people though.
Yeah.
When we tattooed, you know, at least all the Peter tattoo shops, you know, you walk in the front room and there's a door. Usually we cut it half so you can open the top and talk to people, but the bottom stay closed. And then whoever gets tattooed alone would go back in that room and the door would close and they would get tattooed. Now, it wasn't like we were, you know, beating people up and harassing them, you know, we were doing our job. But the fact was nobody had any business, we thought, knowing what's going on in a tattoo room unless you're getting tattooed.
Yeah.
And you know, that scared a lot of people.
Sure.
So, you know, even walking in the front door scared a lot of people. So now it's nice because the shops you're in, you can see over the counter kind of, and you can see, oh wow, you know, people today, they take it for granted. They go into a tattoo shop and they know how tattooing's done. I thought that they used hypodermic needles with ink in them when I was young.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I thought.
I did too.
That they filled these little hypodermic needles, they would put in your skin and squeeze the ink, because you hear it's done with needles.
Yeah.
So, you know, until I sat down and got a tattoo, I had no clue how they're done.
That's same here.
There was no videos on it, and people didn't tell you.
But, you know, there's good and bad and everything, and that's our fault. That's our fault.
We've handed it to. That's why they use our dialogue, or excuse me, our vernacular. That when they come in and they say, it's only going to take a little bit of shading or a whip shading, or when they say, we've handed them that vernacular.
Right.
We've put it on television.
Right.
We've put it on the internet.
Right.
We've given it to them, and now they use it on us, and we're looking at them like, you don't fucking know what it's going to take. A little bit of shading. What the fuck do you know?
And how much it should cost.
Yeah.
How long it should take, how much it should cost.
Yeah. But, that's something that we've done.
But it's good, though, because
I want it to be all-inclusive.
the mystery was cool.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, it's counterproductive. Unless you're Peter, because I'm not even going to let go the secret of the mystery of how Pete, who was a great street tattooer and shop tattooer in New York, did a great solid piece of flesh, went to Denver, and then all of a sudden, Pete turned into a different tattooer.
Yeah.
So, there's all sorts of stories about how that happened and what made it happen and who he made deals with and where his soul went and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, the mystical stuff talking through his jewelry and all that kind of stuff. But so I'm not even going to tell people because it was very spiritual.
But he's talking about times changing, not to interrupt you, but he credited Peter Tattoo for starting to use smaller needle groupings.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't single needle. They weren't doing Jack Rudy.
Right.
They were doing Peter Tattoo, but he was like, you started to see those tattoos, and they were doing smaller groupings and more delicate lines. And he goes, he said, I know now that the old school flash is great and what makes it great, but as a young tattooer, seeing Peter Tattoo in that establishment doing changing the game.
He got that skull put on him with the flames right off Pete's sheet.
Yeah.
Steve's got that on him.
But he was like, seeing them change the game was inspiring to a young tattooer.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't only Pete. It was, Mike Malone, to me, was the big guy.
Sure.
As far as changing the face of Flash. Jack Rudy, Greg Irons, Pinky Young. But the old guys... and at least I was able to know a lot of the old guys, Philadelphia Eddie and Beachcomber Bob, and the older group of people who just we put small tattoos on people, and it's funny. I was talking to Steve about the same thing this morning. He said when it hit the 90s, people didn't want that anymore. Yeah. They wanted the nice dragon, the little Mike Malone, nice detailed dragon. They didn't want that little blocky small stuff anymore. Yeah. He said, what's funny is now that's what they want.
That's what they want to get.
Yeah. So, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
But he said big sellers now. The stuff that was what we did a long time ago, but it's been improved.
Yeah.
The lines are sharper. I met Greg Christian.
Great tattooer.
Amazing tattooer. But I told him, it was in Florida at the party you were at, the 35th Inkstwith and Rogers party. I told him, I said, I don't know if you take it for granted or not, but you do 50s and 60s tattoos better than anybody did in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So even that style, it's so much crisper, and the lines are so much cleaner, and the curves are beautiful, and they meet, and they don't overlap, and the color's right in there, and right in the lines, and people like Greg or King Gordon or Bert Crack or Rich Fye, Eddie, Mike Schweiger, they're doing stuff that is the stuff that used to be popular, but so much better.
Have you heard this kid Josh Bobender?
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
This fucking tattoo just the other day.
Yeah, his work is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I follow
and he's
him
a nice kid too.
I follow him on Instagram, and it blows me away. It's like the outlines are perfect. They're better than old Flash ever was.
Yeah.
They have taken that style to a new level.
Yeah.
So young kids take it for granted. Yeah, I got a tattoo like the old guy down the street used to have. No, you got a tattoo that is perfect.
Yeah, that's gonna look that way in 50
The
years.
old
but-
guys, tattoos didn't look that good when they were new, and they never looked that good since.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them are kind of blotchy and dark, and
You mentioned Mike Swigert, man. What a powerhouse tattooer he is.
unbelievable, because he's
He
one of
also
the
lives and
guys.
breathes it.
He's one of the guys whose work spans
Yeah.
from old stuff, traditional, to new stuff, to experimental.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, it blows my mind. There's so many people out there who tattoo.
We got lost and we ended up in front of Peter Tattoo. And then, if you ever seen the picture of the old Peter Tattoo, they had these two facing neon dragons. The most insane dragons. They were what, like 6 foot tall at least?
Yeah, probably.
And at least they came down and across the bottom of the windows facing each other another 4 feet. And then in the middle, they were blue, and in the middle was a red square that said Peter Tattoo. When you pulled up there, man, that was like really, really intense look. There's a great photo, actually, in Tattoo Advocate.
Yeah.
Right? That old magazine that Shotzi Gorman used to do. There was a professional photo taken in the shop at night, and it really gave you that vibe. But we pulled up, and I was like, hey, I want to go in there,
Wait,
man.
describe to him how it was back then.
Well, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I wanted to go in. I want to go in there. My buddy, who he could throw hands like unbelievably. He's a tough dude, man. We can't grew up in a tough neighborhood. He's like, yeah, I'm not going in there. I said, what do you mean? He goes, fuck that, I'm not going in there.
Just the way it looked, or
just the crowd.
Oh, there's motorcycles
People
out
in there.
front. There's punk rockers, there's bikers, there's guys with Joe Kiefer there.
Joe was there.
Yeah,
Chuck
6
was
foot-
sitting in the chair.
What is 6 foot fucking mohawk? You know what I mean?
This guy Chuck is sitting in a chair. Whatever. He's a menacing looking guy to a young dude.
Actually,
He's
now
big
that-
bald head. Just like. I'm like, these guys. They did look, but I was like, fuck that. I'm going in. Whatever. I already ran away from bat once. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
And I come in and.
Well, that's part of the reason they changed the bat, to see if you still want it, to see if you'll come back.
Yeah, no, that guy just didn't want me around.
Yeah.
that guy did not want me around.
Maybe not him specifically, but the idea behind it is
100%.
you got to be told to fuck
I
off,
already-
and if you want it, you come back.
I already called Peter
Exactly.
Tattoo.
Yeah.
I already called and talked to him on the phone, and Cindy was like, "Nah, we don't want anybody. We're not hiring." Click.
Oh, she answered the phone?
She did, right? So I come in, and I'm like looking at the Flash again. To this day, I'm tattooing 30 years today. To this day, Flash is like, I love it. I love it. You can never give me Flash that I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't have any more room for it. I want it all. I fucking love it. Right? Every time we're around, I'll be in one of the shops, and I'm like a kid in a candy store, just looking up, looking around, and I can do it for hours. I love it.
Who talked to you first, or who talked to you when you went in?
Frank.
Right.
I walked in, and I remember the sheet I was looking at. This girl, Cindy, did the sheet of green dragons.
So
Ugly as
where
fuck.
what location was it?
Peter Tattoo, West Hempstead. Yeah.
Was it 223?
223
Turnpike?
Hempstead Turnpike. With the phone number?
West Hempstead.
I still got both phone
Was it
numbers.
292
8622, and then the other side was
Holy
8737.
shit. Yeah.
That fucking hit my head,
Yeah.
And talk about phones, it's fast forward a little bit, but as an apprentice, one of the things you had to learn was how to answer the phone, right? And Larry would fucking yell at you, be like, "We don't answer the phone like that. What the fuck's wrong with you? Answer the phone like a fucking man. Hello, Tattoo."
Tattoo shop.
So you'd be like, "Hello, Tattoo," and we'd all eventually sounded exactly the same. You could never tell who it
I
was.
thought there's one guy. Which guy? The guy sounds like we all sound like that.
Yeah. Larry would even call, "Hello, Tattoo. Who's this? Who's this? You motherfucker."
Yeah.
Like he would lose his shit. Yeah, but Frankie comes running over to me. Comes over fucking, he's as confident as could be. For reasons,
Sure,
man.
yeah.
The guy's a fucking beast. He comes over, and he's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yo, he's gonna kick my ass." Like, that's the feeling I got. Like, I'm like, here I go. I'm getting my ass kicked again. Hopefully my friend will maybe take me to the hospital. I don't know.
The
So
boxer
I'm like,
won't come inside.
The boxer's afraid to
Right.
biting his
Yeah, he's
nails.
outside sitting with the doors locked, And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just looking around." He's like, "Need help?" No. I already called. I was kind of looking for an apprenticeship, but I called and you guys said you weren't hiring. And he goes, "Yeah? Who'd you talk to? Bitch?" That's what he said to me.
Dude, he's gonna get
And I was
so
like,
mad.
No.
And I said, "What?" He goes,
Frank, I didn't say shit. Remember that.
I said, "Nah, come on." He goes, I said I talked to a girl. He goes, "Was she bitchy?" I said, "Yeah, a little bit." He goes, "Yeah, that was Cindy. Come on."
Oh my God.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
Hey, it's fucking 30 years later.
You talk about the way Frank rolls up. The first time I met Frank, it was very brief and uneventful. The second time I met him, I had some friends with me, and I just assumed there's no way he fucking remember who I am.
Right.
So I go, hey man, he goes, yeah, I know who you are. And just turned to the next guy, what's your name? Like, he just, I was like, okay, fine.
Yo, Frank, people don't understand about Frank. Frank is a very sharp person. He's very smart. He has a lot of attributes, you know. He's not he's a very multifaceted guy. Always had a lot of interests, you know. It was like, you know, he was a great guy to learn from. He was a great mentor, you know. Like
but he's the first couple times you're around, it's intense.
But it should be. He's an intense guy.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it.
If you have a lot and you know what I mean, maybe you want to fucking kind of play close to the chest. Yeah. You know, and Frank comes from a generation where everybody, especially in tattooing, you kept everything close to your chest. You didn't shoot shit. You know, if I had like a drawing here, I'd be like, don't look over here, man. Don't look fucking over there. You know, I'd hide it.
Yeah.
You know, because everything was kept, you know, like if somebody got a new bottle of color, you didn't fucking tell anybody what color. The people you worked with, you didn't even tell.
Sure.
Yeah. 17-year-old kid born and raised a tattoo shop his whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, back in the old days, so.
Right, so
and also being the man, not just doing it well, like running a fucking crew in a fucking, you know, that shop was intense, man, and he was the fucking captain. And there was no question who was running that ship. You know, he did it well. He did do it well. People, I'm sure everybody, look, like I said, the whole thing with the, you know, personalities. Look, everybody was young. You know, it wasn't like a bunch of older people. Everybody was young.
Something I wanted to ask earlier when you talk about stipulations, when you get on a Peter Tattoo, is it with the assumption that you're always going to be Peter Tattoo?
For life. I ain't shaking a word.
I wasn't. I'd let you say that.
Yeah, shaking a word.
It was you looked him in the eye, you shook his hand, he said, you work for me, and that's it. I'll always make sure everything's the fucking best for you. You know, like, you'll be taken care of. This is fucking not like some bullshit. You know, this is the way it is. And that's it. But you're in. And it was fucking no like, But I also, again, I'm fucking 19 years old, you know. Will I make it to 30?
Let's go back to that. So it's a handshake and a word, but it's for life. But any way you wanted to go, anywhere. If you wanted to move to Alaska, if you wanted to move to California, if you wanted to move to Oregon, he would open a shop for you and make sure you made a living. And you could, it wasn't like he didn't take care of you. He's like, okay, I'll make sure you can eat, your family can eat. We're a family. This is what we're going to do. So it wasn't as crazy as people think it is. The aura and the what do you call it?
Look, if you mess up,
the huge thing that happens is a lot of misnomers about the company.
Right.
It was a strong. I mean, the guy had 16 shops, the most shops anybody ever had.
Yeah.
And people loved him. He was a good dude.
And you're not talking about little shops with 2 people.
Yeah. 5 or 6 people in each shop.
You know,
constant tattoo.
If you fuck up somewhere, would it be like, oh well, now you got to go work in Colorado for a while?
Well, no. That whole story was more of Larry. Listen,
no, I'm not talking about anything specific. I'm just asking.
This is something we talk about all the time. It's real easy to throw rocks at somebody. Super fucking easy. You know what I mean?
I'm not right.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying I've heard people do it. It's really fucking easy to throw a rock at somebody and say this person is ABC. You know, like somebody could be like, "Oh, Frank Romano is a real badass." He is. So what? Let's take a minute and think of what he did good, because he did a ton of good and still continues to do good. The guy is Frank's my big brother, 100%, and the guy does stuff every day that I'm still honored to say that's the guy that taught me. You know, like it's not like a thing where I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I learned from this guy." Bullshit. I learned from that fucking guy. That guy is my guy. If he called me on a fucking weekday and was like, "Erik, I fucking need help here. I'm swamped. I need help," I would close my store, put a sticker on the wall, "Hey, I'm closed for the day," and go work for him. Because I owe him everything. Yeah. It's more than just like a craft of tattooing. I mean, he took me under his wing, and he tried to be like a big brother attitude too. It was way more than just tattooing. And that's what he's saying. Is like, it's not, you know, if you made a mistake, Larry wasn't like, "Oh, you weren't gonna like get your pinky cut off and throw it in the alley." Sure. No. Larry would look at the problem and address the problem and try to help people. He was like, he did a lot of good. He tried to keep people always having a good image for tattooing. It was monetarily driven on a lot of levels. But so what? The benefit was still positive for everyone involved. Yeah. Right? It was a positive thing, and I think that's important, man. And that's what I always think about when people want to know about him. You know, there's all those pictures on the internet circulating, right? All those badass pictures. Yeah, they're real. It's not a joke. That's not Halloween. That's not a guy posing. That's the real fucking deal.
But when it came to the business of tattooing, we were tattooists and we did tattoos good.
Yeah.
We learned how to do tattoos well so that people would come in and get tattooed. It wasn't like, there were a couple tattoo shops. They mostly sucked.
Yeah.
They were the top of the heap. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you went there, you paid the money, you got a tattoo. You got a real tattoo.
The level of difference of what you could get it in Peter Tattoo compared to anywhere else was huge. It wasn't like a little difference. It was a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't not, you know, and he knew, you know, Larry knew how to keep people working and keep people doing good tattoos. And he gave good advice, you know, like there's certain things I think of all the time that he told me. You know, he'd say, hey, you see those guys, this guy, that guy, he's all fucked up, he's a drunk, he's fucking wasted all the time. You want to be like that? You want to push all the hard work away? Go ahead. Be an asshole like that guy. That shit stuck to me with me to this day.
Sure.
That guy would, you know, like, and it was good advice. It was no joke. And he meant that. Yeah, he doesn't want me to screw up because I'm his employee, but he also doesn't want me to screw up.
Right.
So, you know, like
So by the time I met him, you were doing 15, 20 tattoos a day, easy. 5 people every day. You know what I mean?
So you come in, you get the dragon.
I get dragon.
Frank says, did you come back and get a tattoo?
Yeah, I got tattooed by Frank.
Did you get that Ghost Dragons or something like that?
I don't fucking remember.
He was in the shop
Every day.
24/7, like after work every day. Would come up and hang out. I used to have to work alone. Sometimes he'd be in there just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know.
I may or may not have been drinking back in those days, so it was a lot easier than it is now. I may have fell asleep a lot of times, and I don't remember a lot of it.
There were a few
But the
nights.
shop was at one time a really expensive neighborhood, and then it became run down, became a little seedy. So he dealt with a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
The door was locked at 11 o'clock because if it wasn't locked, you'd have a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he worked late. We'd come hang out and just chill, and then go get dinner afterwards. Because dine up the street. But there was a lot of crazy motherfuckers that you're not used to in a cabinet store. You know what I mean? And then you go to a tattoo shop and you're like, holy shit, this is the best. You know what I mean?
You were a cabinet maker. You were.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna be. That was my chosen profession. So the story
Were
is.
you apprenticing in that world?
No, I was already
He
doing
was
it.
beyond that. He was like,
Yeah, I started 16. I was already doing it.
Think about it, for him at that point, he was already owning shop for 20-something years.
Yeah,
and
lots of shops.
How many tattooers worked for him? Like he saw the progression of tattooing.
And he broke people in, and he broke people out.
76 or whatever when National started like their thing. Like he and Peter like were at the forefront with Don and Flo to start the National whole thing. Like to be an ITA member and all that shit was not. That was. Yeah, so he knew.
When you own a shop for long enough and you start to understand potential instead of talent, right? It's easier to get a young guy in who has the potential and a little bit of talent, and you can cultivate that and groom them, not in a bad way, to be something that you want, right? And you're young, you know everybody in town. You know, it's a smart move.
Yeah.
You know, you live there.
And if you're a decent guy, you're also offering them opportunity.
Exactly.
You're offering them a lucrative future.
Mm-hmm. Mentorship.
You guys,
way to
as
grow.
shop owners, understand that. Like, I saw that with Lowry a lot. Like Lowry, when I worked at a donut, like Lowry wanted to hire people. I was like, why the fuck do you want to hire that person?
Yeah.
Are you fucking nuts? She was always ahead of the curve. Like that's like just sight that you have because you've done it for long enough to know. Yeah, so whatever. Larry just was like, and I'm sure I had it easier because of Vinny. Definitely. Like, I got in like easier. My apprenticeship was not
also
the
maybe
Da Vinci
because of the
apprenticeship.
shop you were at, right?
Yeah, I mean, again,
It wasn't on Long Island.
this was an ups, dude.
Yeah.
Half the people I tattooed had to leave their fucking boots outside because they were covered in cow shit.
Right.
I tattooed in the fucking country. Like this was not in a place that had any.
Who was tattooing there other than Vinny and you? Or before you started?
It was, well, there had been people through there, but honestly, I don't.
He would bring in like people from other Peter tattoos.
Yes,
Come see me, work the shop for a month.
There was another Peter tattoo about 20 miles north of there that had been there longer.
Yeah. So every now and then you probably pull somebody down, they were short-handed.
Yeah, but it was like just a passerby spot because it was in the corner of New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. It's kind of like in that like corner.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think he initially probably opened it for the reason of making money because it didn't really make that much, you know? And it's like, I was busy enough because I started when I was young. Like, the reason I was busy is because
you were bringing in
I was
clients.
19 years old and fucking every one of my knucklehead friends was like, dude, you gonna do a free tattoo? I was like, yeah. They were like, I'll get 50 of them fucking tomorrow. That was it. Like, I started working there. Yeah, actually, we were close for we did a lot of shit outside of work and shit together too. So we spent some time. The cool thing was, in that early stage, when Vinny started getting tattooed, and I was like, we started going to the conventions through Peter Tattoo, but we would just help Rubendahl and Frank. We would like go to the convention, like basically work for Da Vinci. We didn't have our own booth, like we didn't tattoo at the conventions. We would just go there and it just happened like Henning and Mike had just started their friendship at that time.
Yeah.
So like we're meeting the fucking.
Did Larry give a fuck that you shut the doors for the weekend?
No,
he was kind of removed enough. And
it wasn't. Yeah, there wasn't really that thing at all. Like, because I think Vinny kind of like took over that shop.
He was sort of the go-between between Da Vinci and his dad, and sort of there was a separation.
Larry wanted us to do like national was a huge thing. National conventions were like the most important thing. You had to go to the national convention. We were members. We paid dues. We were like. Yeah, like he made me do that immediately when I started working there. You have to become a national member, pay your dues. You go, like, you fucking wear a goddamn button-down shirt, like, you present yourself well. Yeah, that was a whole thing with him, too, which I thought was interesting. Like, started working there, I was like a fucking scumbag hardcore dude, whatever. Like, it's like, no, stop fucking, like, those baggy-ass pants, fucking, you know. It was the time period, I was fucking wearing all the worst shit. He's like, come on, man, look fucking straight. Like, you wanna, be business. Like, make sure the customers think, like, I don't think it was customer based, because, man, there was some shit that was tattooing, but that's how we did it in all of his shops. He wanted everyone to, like, progress tattooing to a point where it wasn't just for scummy people, like,
What happened if he rolled in and you're listening to LL Cool J?
I don't know if that would have flown over too well.
So you didn't play hip-hop and stuff in there? Probably just played the local
That's
rock
weird.
and roll
Like, I don't
radio
even know. Maybe we didn't. That's weird. I don't know. You're right. Maybe I didn't. But again, I was
the shops I started and played the local rock station.
I was also transforming from like I just wanted to listen to like New York hardcore shit every day anyway. I was
but that didn't fly either, probably.
Well, he would much more put up with that, I would think. Yeah. I think that was
he wasn't listening to Backstreet.
That was easy listening to him. Yeah, I would think.
No lies, just bullshit.